Hey guys, okay. Last week I just got the new fine 18 volt multi-master 500 plus multi-tool. You know, this fits Bosch batteries. Okay, let's read it. It's 11,000 RPM to 18,500. Weight without batteries 1.3 pounds. Starlock Plus, tool change, Quicken. This is made in Germany too, so it's not made in China. This was on sale at Acme, but I got it at a greatly reduced price, as you know. I'm sure the next one's coming up probably less than a couple of weeks. They're going to cost more money because of the trade wars. Well, I got this piece of wood here, you know, that I was demoing my new Harbor Freight rear handle Hercules saw on, and I want to take the little pieces out, you know, the little blocks out, because I made several cuts on it in different directions. So let's go for this. And I have the 21700 cell Bosch battery on it, fully charged, 4 amp hour. It does have a speed control. Got a knob. Turn it down. Five, four, three, two, one. Turn all the way back to 6. one thing, it's getting a little warm. Let's check the temperature on it. Let me kick the light up another degree. Okay. $103. See what the blade's at. Blade ain't too bad. The motor's getting a little warm. See what it is myself. 102. Starting to get warm. We'll run this until either the battery runs out or I run out of wood. My hands off the fence. Okay, let's see what the temperature's at. See what the blade is at. Wow, the blade's not all that hot. I want to see what the temperature is. 100 degrees. Let's see what the battery's at. About 85 degrees. Let's see what it's at power-wise. Just dropped 2 cells. Okay. Okay. Let's see what it's at. Especially the battery. Down to 2 cells. Not bad, about 105 degrees. That ain't too bad. The only thing I don't like about the Find, it doesn't have any lights on it. My Flex has a light on it. See what the battery's at. Down to 1. See if I can get that. Let's concentrate on just that end. Wow. One last cell on it. Okay. Well, maybe we'll go for the front. Okay. It's flashing. So the battery is toast. This is their 4 amp 21 7/8 cell. So how warm it is. The blade tip. It's about 96, 102. Battery. Battery's about 88 degrees. Other than that, it puts out a lot of heat at the vents here. My hands were definitely getting toasted. So I like it. It's nice and tiny compared to the Flex. The battery goes up, you know. Doesn't have the RPM of the Flex, but this is how you release the blade. Drop it off just like that. So, not bad. And like I say, the battery's toast. So, like I say, made in Germany, nice and tiny. And this is only the 500 series. They make a 700 series too. That's even better than this. Yep. Get your German tools now before the prices go through the roof with all these tariffs. So, I'm going to show you what's going to happen for the next video. Okay. On my Sunday night live stream, the Cobalt won the mid-torque, competition. So it's going to be taking on the rigid mid-torque octane that this model I think was last produced 3 or 4 years ago. And I'll of course charge up to max output EXP battery 21 7/8 cells before then. And it's going to take on the mid-torque from Milwaukee, their latest one with 6 amp forged battery. That'll be my next live stream. So we'll see if the Cobalt can beat the Milwaukee or the rigid to move on to the next competition. Okay. Well, I'm beat up here after doing that. Well, I'll be going live again probably in 2 more days. Tomorrow it's talking rain and I got stuff to do. So, but like I say, I'm impressed with this fine 500 series multi-tool. Just that if you lose it long and like I did, your hands are definitely going to get warm with these vents here, but you got to keep them open. So, other than that, I'm impressed with it. It's nice and tiny. It's just a little wider than the Flex, but it's nice and tiny. So, okay guys, Eric the Bearded Tool Guy signing off, but I'll see you guys in a couple days.